Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Darati Swaparandikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenapando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Risabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavad Pashatarishtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Prabhus, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today let's read one chapter. Yeah, it's a long chapter. So chapter 49, Krishna erects the Dwaraka fort. Hare Krishna. After his death, Kamsa's two wives became widows. According to Vedic civilization, a woman is never independent. He has three stages of life. In childhood, a woman should live under the protection of her father. A youthful woman should live under the protection of her young husband, and in the end of the death of her husband, she should live under the protection of her grown-up children. Or if she has no grown-up children, she must go back to her father and live as a widow under his protection. It appears that Kamsa had no grown-up sons. After becoming widows, his wives returned to the shelter of their father. Kamsa had two queens. One was Asti and the other Prapti, and both happened to be daughters of King Jarasandha, the lord of the Bihar province, known in these days as Magad Haraja. Magad Haraja. After reaching home, both queens explained their awkward position following Kamsa's death. The king of Magadha, Jarasandha, was mortified on hearing their pitiable condition due to the slaughter. When informed of the death of Kamsa, Jarasandha decided on the spot that he would rid the world of all the members of the Yadu dynasty. He decided that since Krishna had killed Kamsa, the whole dynasty of the Yadus should be killed. He began to make extensive arrangements to attack the kingdom of Mathura. With his innumerable military phalanxes consisting of many thousands of chariots, horses, elephants, and infantry soldiers, Jarasandha prepared 13 such military phalanxes in order to retaliate the death of Kamsa. Taking with him all his military strength, he attacked the capital of the Yadu kings, Mathura, surrounding it from all directions. Sri Krishna, who appeared as an ordinary human being, saw the immense strength of Jarasandha, which appeared as an ocean about to cover a beach at any moment. He also perceived that the inhabitants of Mathura were overwhelmed with fear. He began to think within himself about the situation of his mission as an incarnation and how to tackle the present situation before him. His mission was to diminish the overburdened population of the whole world. Therefore, he took the opportunity of facing so many men, chariots, elephants, and horses. The military strength of Jarasandha had appeared before him, and he decided to kill the entire force of Jarasandha so that they would not be able to go back and go back and again reorganize their military strength. While Lord Krishna was thinking in what way two military chariots fully equipped with drivers, weapons, flags, and other implements arrived for him from outer space, Krishna saw the two chariots present before him and immediately addressed his attendant brother Balaram, who is also known as Sankarshana. My dear elder brother, you are the best among the audience. You are the lord of the universe, and specifically you are the protector of the Yadu dynasty. The members of the Yadu dynasty sense great danger before the soldiers of Yarasandha, and they are very much aggrieved. Just to give them protection, your chariot is also here, filled with military weapons. I request you to sit down on your chariot and kill all these soldiers, the entire military strength of the enemy. Naturally, both of us have descended on this earth just to annihilate such unnecessary bellicose forces and to give protection to the pious devotees. So we have the opportunity to fulfill our mission. Please let us execute it. Thus Krishna and Balaram, the descendants of the Gadaha king Dasharha, decided to annihilate the 13 military companies of Jarasandha. Krishna went upon the chariot of which Daruka was the driver, and with a small army, and to the blowing of conch shells, he came out of the city of Mathura. Curiously enough, although the other party was equipped with greater military strength, just after hearing the vibration of Krishna's conch shell, their hearts were shaken. When Jarasandha saw both Balaram and Krishna, he was a little bit compassionate because both Krishna and Balaram happened to be related to him as grandsons. He specifically addressed Krishna as Purushadama, meaning the lowest among men. Actually, Krishna is known in all Vedic literatures as Purushottama, the highest among men. Jarasandha had no intention of addressing Krishna as Purushottama, but great scholars have determined the true meaning of the word Purushadama to be one who makes all other personalities go downward. Actually, no one can be equal to or greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jarasandha said, "It will be a great dishonor for me to fight with boys like Krishna and Balaram." Because Krishna had killed Kamsa, Jarasandha specifically addressed him as the killer of his own relatives. Kamsa had killed so many of his own nephews, yet Yarajandra did not take notice of it. But because Krishna had killed his maternal uncle, Kamsa, Jarasandha tried to criticize him. This is the way of demoniac dealing. Demons do not try to find their own faults, but try to find the faults of their friends. Jarasandha also criticized Krishna for not even being a Kshatriya, because he was raised by Maharaj Nanda. Krishna was not a Kshatriya, but a Vaishya. Vaishyas are generally called Guptas, and the word Gupta can also be used to mean hidden. So Krishna was both hidden and raised by Nanda Maharaj. Jarasandha accused Krishna of three faults: that he killed his own maternal uncle, that he was hidden in his childhood, and that he was not even a Kshatriya. And therefore, Jarasandha felt ashamed to fight with him. Next, he turned toward Balaram and addressed him. "You, Balaram, if you like, you can fight along with me, and if you have patience, then you can wait to be killed by my arrows. Thus you can be promoted to heaven." It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that a Kshatriya can become benefited in two ways while fighting. If a Kshatriya gains victory in the fight, he enjoys the result of victory, but even if he is killed in the fight, he is promoted to the heavenly kingdom. After hearing Jarasandha speak in that way, Krishna answered, "My dear King Jarasandha, those who are heroes do not talk much. Rather, they show their prowess. Because you are talking much, it appears that you are assured of your death in this battle. We do not care to hear you anymore, because it is useless to hear the words of a person who is going to die or one who is very distressed. In order to fight with Krishna, Jarasandha surrounded him from all sides with great military strength, and the sun appeared covered by the cloudy air and dust. Similarly, Krishna, the supreme sun, was covered by the military strength of Jarasandha. Krishna and Balaram's chariots were marked with pictures of Garuda and palm trees. The women of Mathura were all standing on the tops of the houses and palaces and gates to see the wonderful fight. But when Krishna's chariot was surrounded by Jarasandha's military force, they became so frightened that some of them fainted. Krishna saw himself overwhelmed by the military strength of Jarasandha. His small number of soldiers were being harassed by them, so he immediately took up his bow named Sharanga. Sharanga. He began to take his arrows from their case, and one after other he set them on the bowstring and shot them toward the enemy. They were so accurate that the elephants, horses, and infantry soldiers of Jarasandha were quickly killed. The incessant arrows thrown by Krishna appeared as whirlwind of blazing fire, killing all the military strength of Jarasandha. As Krishna released his arrows, gradually all the elephants began to fall down their heads, severed by the arrows. Similarly, all the horses fell and the chariots also, along with their flags. Hare Krishna, Bhagaram Prabhu, please accept my voice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhu, you can also read.
Yes, Prabhu.
Revolve.
The, the chariot fighters and the chariot drivers fell as well. Almost all the infantry soldiers fell on the field of battle. Their heads, hands, and legs cut off. In this way, many thousands of the elephant and horse were killed, and their blood began to flow just like a waves of a river. In that river, the several arms of the men appear to be snake. Their heads appear to be tortoise, and the dead bodies of the elephant appear to be small islands. The dead horses appear to be shark. By the arrangement of the supreme will, there was a great river of blood filled with the paraphernalia. The hands and leg of the infantry soldiers were floating like seaweed, and floating bows of the soldiers appear to be waves of the river. All all the jewelry from the bodies of the soldier and commanders appear to be many pebbles flowing down the river of blood. Lord Balarama, who is also known as Sankarsana, began began to fight with his club in such a heroic way that the river of blood created by Krishna overflowed. Those who were coward become very much afraid upon seeing the ghastly and horrible scene, and those who were heroes began to talk delightfully among themselves about the heroism of the two brothers. Although Jarasandha was equipped with a vast ocean of the military strength, the fighting of Lord Krishna and Balarama converted the whole situation into a ghastly scene, which was far beyond ordinary fighting. Person of ordinary mind cannot estimate how it could be possible. But when such activities are accepted as pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose will everything is possible, then this can be understood. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is creating, maintaining, and dissolving the cosmic manifestation by His will only. For Him to create such a vast scene of the deviation while fighting in the enemy is not so wonderful. And yet, because Krishna and Balaram were fighting with Jarasandha just like ordinary human beings, the affair appeared to be wonderful. All the soldiers of Jarasandha were killed, and sorry, go ahead. Yes, Mother. This is not mine. Yeah, I exchanged like this. Okay, it's okay, Mother. Yeah, Hare Krishna. All the soldiers of Jarasandha were killed, and he was he was only one left alive. Certainly, he became very depressed at this point. Sri Balarama immediately arrested him, just as with great strength one loin captured another loin. But while Lord Balarama was binding Jarasandha with the rope of Varuna and ordinary ropes also, Lord Krishna with a great plan in mind for future asked him not to arrest him. Jarasandha was then released by Krishna as a great fighting hero. Jarasandha became very much ashamed, and he decided that he would no longer live as king, but would resign from his position in the royal order and go to forest to practice meditation under severe austerity and penance. As he was returning home with other royal friends, however, they advised him not to retire but to regain strength to fight again with Krishna in the near future. The princely friend of Jarasandha began to instruct him that ordinarily it would not have been possible for him to have been defeated by strength of the Yadu kings, but the defeat which he had experienced was simply due to his ill luck. The princely order encouraged King Jarasandha. His fighting, they said, was certainly heroic. Therefore, he should not take his defeat as seriously, as it was due only to his past mistakes. After all, there was no fault in fighting. In this way, Jarasandha, the king of Magadha province, have lost all his strength, and having been insulted by his arrest and subsequent release, could do nothing but return to his kingdom. Thus, Lord Krishna conquered the soldiers of the Jarasandha. Although Krishna's army was tiny in comparison of Jarasandha, not a pinch of the strength was lost, whereas all of the Jarasandha's men were killed. At the time, the de- denizens of heaven become very pleased and began to offer their respect by chanting in glorification of the Lord and by showering him with flower. They accepted the victory with a great appreciation. Jarasandha returned to his kingdom, and Mathura city was made safe from the dangers of the imminent attack. The citizens of Mathura organized the combined service of circus and professional singers like Sutaj, Magdhaj, and poets who could compose nice songs, and they began to chant the victory glorification of Lord Krishna. When Lord Krishna entered the city after the victory, many bugles, conches, and kettle drums were sounded, and the vibration of various musical instruments like Bheria, Turiya, Quina, flute, and mridanga all joined together to make a beautiful reception. While Krishna was entering, the whole city was very much cleansed, and the different streets and roads were sprinkled with water, and the inhabitants, being joyous, decorated their respective house, roads, and shop with flags and festoons. The Brahmanas chanted Vedic mantras at the numerous places. The people constructed road crossing entrance lanes and street. When Lord Krishna was entering the nicely decorated city of Mathura in the festival attitude, uh, ladies and girls of Mathura prepared different kind of flower garlands to make the ceremony more auspicious. In accordance with the Vedic custom, they took yogurt mixed with freshly grown green grass and began to strew it here and there to make the victory jubilation even more auspicious. As Krishna passed through the street, all the ladies and women began to regard him with a great affection. Krishna and Balarama carried various kind of beauty ornaments and jewels carefully collected from the battlefield and presented them to King Ugrasena. Krishna thus offered his respect to his grandfather because he was at that time the crowned king of the Yadu dynasty. Jarasandha, the king of Magadha, not only beside 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 the city of Mathura once, but the attack its 17 time in the same way, equipped with the same number of the military phalanges. Each and every time he was defeated, and all his soldiers were killed by Krishna, and each time he had returned to disappointed in the same way. Each time the princely order of the Yadu dynasty arrested Jarasandha in the same way and again released him in the insulting manner, and each time Jarasandha shamelessly returned home. While Jarasandha was attempting one such attack, a Yavana king somewhere to the south of Mathura, somewhere to south of the Mathura, become attacked attracted by the opulence of the Yadu dynasty and also attacked the city. It is said that a king of the Yavana, known as Kali Yavana, was induced to attack by Narada. This story is narrated in the Vishnu Purana. Once Garga Muni, the priest of the Yadu dynasty, was taunted by his brother-in-law when the king of Yadu dynasty was taunted by the brother-in-law when the king of Yadu dynasty heard the taunt, they laughed at him, and Garg Muni became angry at the Yadu king. He decided that he would produce someone who would be very fearful to the Yadu dynasty. So the pleased Lord Shiva and received from his benediction of the sun. He begot his son Kaliyavana in the wife of a Yavana king. This Kaliyavana inquired from Narada, who are the most powerful king in the world. Narada informed him that Yadu were the most powerful. Being thus informed by Narada, Kaliyavana attacked the city of Mathura. At the same time, Jarasandha attempted to attack it for the 18th time. Kali, Kaliyavana was very anxious to declare war on the king of a world who word who would be the suitable combat, combatant for him, but he had not found any. However, being informed about Mathura by the Narada, he he thought it wise to attack this city. When he attacked Mathura, he he bought with him 30 million Yavana soldiers. When Mathura was thus besieged, Lord Sri Krishna began to consider how much the Yadu dynasty was in the distress, being threatened by the attack of two formidable enemies, Jarasandha and Kalyavana. Time was growing very short. Kalyavana was already besieging Mathura from all sides, and it was expected that the next day Jarasandha would also come, equipped with the same number of the division of soldiers as in the previous 17th attempt. Krishna was certain that Jarasandha would take advantage of the opportunity to capture Mathura when it was also being besieged by the Kalyavana. He therefore thought it wise to take precautionary measure to defeat the strategic point of Mathura. If both Krishna and Balarama were engaged in the fighting with the Kalyavana at the one time, Jarasandha might come at another place to attack the whole Yadu family and take his revenge. Jarasandha was very powerful and having been defeated 17 times, he might ven- vengefully kill the member of Yadu family or arrest them and take them to the kingdom. Krishna therefore decided to construct a formidable fort in the place where no two-legged animal, either man or demon, could enter. He decided to keep his relative there so that he would then be free to fight with the enemy. It appears that formerly Dwarka was also part of the kingdom of Mathura because in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that Krishna constructed a fort in the midst of the sea. Remnants of the fort which Krishna constructed are still existing on the bay of Dwarka. He first of all constructed a very strong wall covering 96 square mile, and the wall itself was within the sea. It was certainly wonderful and was planned and constructed by Vishwakarma. No ordinary architect could construct such a fort within the sea, but an architect like Vishwakarma, who is considered to be the engineer amongst the demigods, can execute such wonderful craft, craftsmanship anywhere in the part of the universe. If huge if huge planets can be floated in the weightlessness in the outer space by the arrangement of Supreme Personality of Godhead, surely the architectural construction of the fort within the sea covering a space of 96 square mile was not a wonderful act, very wonderful act. It is stated in the Bhagavatam that this new well-constructed city developed within the sea had regular planned road, street and lanes. Not only were there well-planned road, trees and lanes, but there were well-planned paths and gardens filled with the plants known as the Kalpa Vrakshas or desire trees. These desire trees are not like the ordinary trees of material world. The desire trees are found in the spiritual world. By Krishna's supreme will, everything is possible. So such desire tree were planted in the city of Dwarka, constructed by Krishna. The city was also filled with many places and gopuraj or big gates. These gopuraj are still found in some of the larger temples. They are very high and constructed with the extreme archi- ar- artistic skill. Such place and gates held golden water pots, kalasa. These water pots on the gates or in the places are considered to be auspicious sign. Almost all the places were skyscrapers. In each and every house there were big pots of the gold and silver and grain stocked in underground rooms, and there were many golden water pots within the room. The bedrooms were all bed bedecked with the jewel, and floor were mosaic pavement of Markata jewelers. The Vishnu deities worshipped by the descendant of Yadu was installed in each house in the city. The residential quarters were so arranged that the different castes, Brahmanas, Satriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and their respective quarters, it appears from this that the caste system was existing even at the time. In the center of the city, there was another residential quarter made specifically for the king Ugrasena. This place was the most dazzling of the all houses. When the demigods saw that Krishna was constructing a particular city of his own choice, they sent the celebrated Parijata flower of the heavenly planets to be planted in the new city. And they also sent a parliamentary house, Sudharma. Sudharma. The specific quality of this assembly house was that anyone participating in the meeting within it would overcome the influence of invalidity due to old age. The demigod Varuna also presented a horse which was all white except for black ear and which could run at the speed of the mind. Kuvera, the teacher of the demigods, presented the art of attaining the eight perfectional stage of material opulence. In this way, all the demigods began to present their respective gift according to their different capacities. There are 33 million demigods. There are 33 million demigods, and each of them is entrusted entrusted with a particular department of universal management. All the demigods took the opportunity of the supreme personality of Godhead constructing a city of his own choice to present their respective gifts, making the city of Mathura unique within the universe. This proves that there are undoubtedly innumerable demigods, but none of them are independent of Krishna. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna is the supreme master and all others are servant. So all the servant took the opportunity to rendering service to Krishna when he was personally present within the universe. This universe. This example should be followed by all, especially those who are Krishna conscious, for they should serve Krishna by their respective abilities. When the new city was fully constructed according to the plan, Krishna transferred all the inhabitants of the Krishna Mathura and entrusted Sri Balarama as the city father. City father. After this, he constructed with Balarama and being garlanded with the lotus flower. He came out of the city to meet Kaliyavana, who had already seized Mathura without taking up any weapons. When Krishna came out of the city, Kalyavana, who had never seen Krishna before, he saw him too extraordinary beautiful, dressed in the yellow garments, passing through his assembly of soldiers. Krishna appeared like a moon in the sky, passing through the assembled cloud. Kalyavana was fortunate enough to see the lines of Srivasta, Srivatsa, a particular impression on the chest of the Krishna. 1 minute. Uh, Kaustubha jeweler, which which he was wearing. Kalivana saw him, however, in his Vishnu form with a well-built body, with four-handed and eye like blooming lotus petals. Krishna appeared blissful with the handsome forehead and beautiful face, with the smiling, restless eye and moving earrings. Before seeing Krishna, Kalivana had heard about him from Narada, and now the description of Narada were confirmed. He noticed Krishna's specific mark on the jewel on his chest, his beautiful garlands of lotus flower, his lotus-like eyes, and similarly beautiful bodily feature. He concluded that this beautiful personality must be Vasudeva, because every description of the Narada which he had heard previously was sub- substantiated by the presence of Krishna. Kalivana was very much astonished to see that he was passing through without any weapon in his hand and without any chariot. He was simply walking on foot. Kalyavana had come to fight with Krishna, and yet he had sufficient principle not to take up any kind of weapon. He decided to fight with him hand to hand, and thus he prepared to capture Krishna and fight. Krishna, however, went ahead without looking at Kalivana, and Kalivana began to follow him with a desire to capture him. But in spite of all his swift running, he could not capture Krishna. Krishna cannot be captured even by the mental speed attained by the great yogis. He can be captured only by the devotional service, and Kalivana was not practiced in the devotional service. He wanted to capture Krishna as he could not do so. He was following him from behind. Kalivanam began running very fast and he was thinking, now I am nearer. I will capture him, but he could not. Krishna led him far away and he entered the cave of the hill. Kalivana thought that Krishna was trying to avoid fighting with him and was therefore taking shelter of the cave. He began to chastise him with the following words: "Oh, you Krishna, I heard that you are a great hero born in the dynasty of Yadu, but I you see that you are verily running away from fighting like a coward. It it is not worthy of your good name or family tradition." Kalevana was following, running very fast, but still he could not catch Krishna. He was not freed from all the contamination of the sinful life. According to Vedic culture, anyone who does not live following the regulative principle of the life observed by the high, higher, higher caste like the Brahmanas, Satriyas, Vaishyas, and even the laborer class is called Malesha. The Vedic social situation is so planned that person who are accepted as Sudra can gradually be elevated to the position of Brahmanas by the cultural advancement known as sanskara or the purificatory process. The version of the Vedic scripture is that no one become a Brahmana or a Malesa simply by birth. By birth, everyone is accepted as Sudra. One has to elevate himself by the purificatory process to be stage of Brahmana life. If he degrade himself further, then he is called Malesa. Kalyavana belong to the class of Malesa and Yavana. He was contaminated by the sinful activities and could not approach Krishna. The principle from which higher class men are restricted, namely illicit sex, indulge, uh, indulgence, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication, are part and parcel of the lives of the Malecha and Yavana. Being bound by such sinful activities are not make any advancement in the God realization. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that only one who is completely free from the all sinful reaction can be engaged in the devotional service of or Krishna consciousness. When Krishna entered the cave of the hill, Kalyavana followed, sesting him with the various harsh words. Krishna suddenly disappeared from the demon's sight, but Kalevana followed and also entered the cave. The first thing he saw he was a man lying down asleep with the cave. Kalevana was very anxious to fight with Krishna, and when he could not see Krishna, he saw instead only a man lying down. He thought that Krishna was sleeping within this cave. Kalivana was very puffed up and proud of his strength, and he thought Krishna was avoiding the fighting. Therefore, he very strongly kicked the sleeping man, thinking him to be Krishna. The sleeping man had been lying for a very long time. When he was awakened by the kicking of Kalivana, he immediately opened his eye and began to look around in all directions. At the last, he began to see Kalivana, who was standing nearby. This man was ultimately awakened and therefore very angry. And when he looked upon Kalivana in his angry mood, ray of fire emanates from his eyes, and Kalivana burned into the ashes within a moment. Thus, the Bhaktivedanta purport of 49th chapter of Krishna erect the Dwarka fort.
Ribo.
Hari Bol.
Yes, this was nice story.
Yes, Prabhu. This is so nice. Converted into ashes. Kalevana. Dushta
He was
He was
running
so
after Krishna. He was thinking, why I can catch him?
Malecha and Yavanna.
Yeah.
Is there any
Yes, Prabhu. There's one.
picture related to this story? Prabhu, recording going on still.
Yes, Prabhu. 1 second. I think it's here.
This one. Oh, yes.
Halevana bird into ashes.
Converted into SS.
Yes, Prabhu.
Who is that great Muni? He is
Mm,
actually King Prabhu.
yes, this is in one Ekadashi story. It's told. He has been
Yes.
he had been fighting so long, and then he was given opportunity to sleep, and he went inside the cave to sleep. And he was
Hmm.
given benediction that if someone wakes him up
Hmm.
untimely, then the person who wakes him up will be burned. So Krishna made this arrangement.
Uh,
So
and
Krishna said,
Kaliyavana got this opportunity.
yes, Prabhu. Krishna wanted to see what will happen when he when he goes, and he
Krishna,
kicked him.
Krishna surprising.
Yes, Prabhu. And he kicked him and thought it was Krishna. The man must have been so confused. Like, why is someone coming to the cave and kicking me?
So important work. So he's walking me up.
Yes, Prabhu.
Someone want to be finished.
Yeah.
Kaliyavana. Actually, in his own name, there is Yavana.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Kale. Yavana.
He kicked very strongly, like kicking some football.
he thought he wanted to kick Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, now let's go to six Astakam.
Yes, Prabhu.
चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावादुजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
नाम नाम अकारी बहुधा निज सर्वा शक्ति स तत्र पिता नियत नियमितः स्मरेण न कला एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि दुर् दुर्दैवाम् ईदृशम् यः इजानि नानुग्रह यः जानि
गुणादपि नीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीया सदा हरि
न धनम न जनम न सुंदरीम कविताम वा जगदीश कामये माम जन्मनि जन्मेश्वरे भवताद भक्तिर अहेतुकी त्वयि
ऐनन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितां मां विषमे भवां बुधौ कृपा तव पादपङ्कजास्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तया
नयनाम गलद अश्रु धारय वदनम गदगदा हृदय गिरा पुलाकिरण शीताम वपु कदा त्वनाम ग्रहे भविष्यति
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रविशायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दाविरहेण मे
अश्लिष्या वा पदरताम पिनास्तु माम अद्रसानाम मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विद्धातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथास्तु स एव नृपः
Haribo. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Uh, O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for the chanting these names, O my Lord, out of the kindness. You enabled us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, or nor I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj
Son
Nanda,
of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into an ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of your atoms at your lotus feet.
Haribol, Pranjal Prabhu ki jai.
Yeah. Oh
Oh
my
my
Lord,
Lord. Yes, you can read Prabhu, Haribol.
when will my eyes be decorated with the tear of love flowing constantly? When I chant your holy name, when will my voice choke up? And when will the hair of my body stand on the end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separations, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by some race or make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally.
Haribol, Sri Siksastakam ki jai.
Jai,
Panchadit Tattva ki jai.
Jai,
Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Jai,
Prabhu Nityananda ki jai.
Jai,
Jagat Guru Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari
Hari
Hari.
Hari Bol.